on this Tuesday morning, day number 1 of the stay-at-home order in Michigan announced by Governor Whitmer yesterday. The order went into effect at 12:01 a.m. this morning and will continue in effect until at least April 13th. So, essential businesses, is your business essential? Some of the answers to that question are pretty obvious, but for some, maybe not so clear. Attorney and partner with Varnum, Ethan Beswick is with us this morning on WKZO to see if he can shed some light on some of those questions for us. Good morning, Ethan.
Good morning, Ken. Thanks for having me on the show.
I appreciate a chance to talk with you this morning. So, defining critical infrastructure, as the governor did yesterday in her order, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, Ken, so as we saw yesterday morning with Governor Whitmer's order that came out, the order actually incorporates Department of Homeland Security guidance that came out late last week. On March 19, in a memorandum that defined essential critical infrastructure in the wake of the coronavirus. And Governor Whitmer's order yesterday actually incorporates that guidance. So there are 14 different categories or sectors, if you will, that have been deemed critical infrastructure, and businesses within those categories are then being deemed essential for purposes of continued operations during this stay-at-home order.
Do you see any gray areas in there that would raise questions among some businesses?
Yeah, so as you can imagine, we've been fielding calls and emails over the last 24 hours as to exactly what fits within those categories. There, as you can imagine, with something like this that comes online so quickly, there's going to be gray areas. And we're doing our best to assist our clients and those that are in need of determining whether or not their business is deemed essential, and to what extent its operations are essential. So even within businesses, we're finding certain lines or certain operations are to be deemed essential and maybe others are not.
As part of the governor's order, she referenced employees necessary to conduct minimum basic operations. Are there certain positions that defines, or is it kind of the business's call on that?
Again there, so at this point it's a self-reporting standard for businesses under the executive order, meaning those businesses are making that determination for themselves. The executive order does provide some guidance in that those employees that are necessary to conduct minimum basic operations include workers whose in-person presence is strictly necessary to allow the business to maintain inventory or equipment, ensure security, process payroll and employee benefits, or other workers that are needed to facilitate the ability of other workers to work remotely. So we're also trying to define what those categories are and what that means for certain business clients.
Varnum law attorney Ethan Beswick with us this morning on WKZO. There's been some question about once you define what an essential business is, then the question turns to the suppliers, distributors who service the businesses that are essential. And how does this impact them?
Yeah, correct. So the executive order actually lists that a business that's deemed critical may turn to its suppliers and distributors and provide designation to those entities as well as critical to maintain the primary business function. So what we're seeing is the primary business is then turning and providing those designations, which then actually permits those secondary suppliers to turn and provide the similar designation on down the line to their suppliers. So at the end of the day, we're seeing entire supply chains and service provider networks being deemed critical under this kind of cascading effect provided for in the executive order.
Well, all of this, of course, is new to those who are in business. Obviously, we've just never had this kind of situation before or anything like it, and we've kind of overused the term on the show this morning. uncharted waters, I guess. But how do businesses, essential and non-essential, navigate these uncharted seas, so to speak, and still deal with the crisis that's before them?
Yeah, so these are unprecedented times, that is for sure. And as those questions come up, we're fielding them as they come in, given the orders fresh and not even 24 hours old. We're happy to provide counsel to clients that need that information. First step is looking to the executive order and the DHS guidance, and then also any designations they may be receiving from those that they're doing business with.
So the order is in place, but apparently still some questions that may be unanswered at this point then.
That is entirely correct. We're working through those as quickly as we can. The state has provided an FAQ source online that are assisting with answering those questions as they come up. But given the uncharted territories we're in, we're just dealing with those as they arise.
Varnum law attorney Ethan Beswick's been with us on WKZO this morning. It was a pleasure to have you on the show and help to clarify at least some of the points of the governor's order as we continue to deal with the coronavirus situation and its impact on business in the community. I thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on the show, Ken. Take care.